Ah, I see.
So I'm waiting for Aaron to come in, and then once she comes in, we'll have this amazing discussion. Go live with her. How are you doing, Dr. Rhoda?
I'm fine.
I'm good. Yeah, we have everybody here. This is good. This is so the world is seeing us talk about one of the ways we've been able to cope in medicine. Um, and journaling is a very, very known way that therapists prescribe for coping and wellness. I want to
Yeah.
assign you ladies the responsibility of just giving us this amazing session, and then we go from there. Over to you, Dr. Aaron.
Oh, hi, Dr. Jimmy. Hi, Dr. Rhoda. It's wonderful to be here. This is my first live. I can't believe it. Thank you, Dr. Jimmy, for the opportunity. And Dr. Rhoda, it's nice to have you here. So, like Dr. Jimmy said, we're going to be talking about journaling as a form of self-care. And it's an exciting one for me, really, because I would say I've been on this journaling journey for, say, less than 3 years, and it's been such an amazing practice that I would prescribe to anyone who wants to become more self-aware, just more grateful generally. So yeah, it's a good one to be here. I don't know if Dr. Rhoda has anything to say as a form of opening statement. Yeah.
Okay. And this is also my first live, and in fact, I was caught off guard because I never expected I'll be doing this today. So I am excited, but also scared of doing anything that I shouldn't be doing. But no problem. So yes, journaling is an amazing practice of life, and I learned it from AIM as well from Dr. Jumi, and I would say it has been amazing. It's there's a saying that the shortest pen is better than the longest memory.
Mm.
No matter what you think you can have in your mind,
Wow.
it's always better to put it down. Putting it down helps to re-emphasize it because then not just one of your senses is at play. Your hands are writing it, your eyes are seeing it. You might even say it to yourself as you're writing it. So your ears are hearing it, your lips are speaking it. So it helps to re-emphasize whatever you have written. And I think it's just wonderful. You barely go off track. You rarely would go off track if you practice journaling. So that's what I would have to say as an opening statement.
Wow, these are you guys are already dropping nuggets. Like I'm taking notes right now. The shortest pen is greater than the biggest memory. Is that how
The
you said it?
longest memory.
Oh, than the longest memory. Wow. And when you journal, you exercise many other organs,
Senses.
senses, which is much more powerful. Wow. Okay, let's do this. This is good. Go ahead. I'm just enjoying myself. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry. So I'm sort of on mommy duty right now, but we'll see how it goes. Right. I think Dr. Rhoda should just go ahead and tell us about your journaling experience so far, what benefits you've derived from it, and what type of journals you've used, and yeah, then I'll jump in. Okay.
Okay, so well, so like I said already, I learned about journaling from AIM. That was a few years back. I think 3 years back. So I initially started with the online type, which was what was spoken about in that webinar, just like we normally have every month. I think someone was talking to us about journaling that month, and they told us of an app. I think, yeah, Dr. Yetunde, about an app that we could use to journal. And it made sense to me because the app had the ability to display what you had written on it as your screen so that you could see it every time you put on your phone, you would see it. Also like a reminder. So I liked the idea and I started using it. Then I also diversified into the writing type as well. But I wouldn't say this hasn't gone without its own. I mean, this has gone without its own disadvantages or uh, demerits. I don't know what I should call them, or failures on my part, because right now I'm not really as dedicated as I was journaling back then, and because I have some questions and sometimes I feel some inadequacy in writing them down. So you're supposed to be honest with yourself when you journal. You're supposed to write what you feel and what you know is true. So sometimes I wonder, like, if I write this thing down, once you put something down, it can be seen or read by any other person. So I'm scared, like, hope this thing will not come and be, a problem for me later. In all honesty, you might just write it as what you're feeling at the moment, or what you want to say to yourself at the moment, or what happened, what had transpired in your day, in your day's activity that day. But it could come off to another person reading it some time later as a bad thing. So for instance, I have a baby. So let's say I write about my baby and how she's so amazing, and maybe that day I actually couldn't sleep at night at all, and maybe I wrote something like, um she kept me awake all night, and I was tired, I was fatigued. You know how it can be. You'll just be, in fact, your whole day can be ruined if you don't sleep well at night. And for that, so what if years later she comes across my journal and then she feels that I wasn't happy that she was with me? I wasn't happy that I had her, and she wouldn't know that that was not the case. So sometimes I feel that way about what to write. So, but by and large, truth be told, journaling is amazing. Like, it is really good. It's a very beneficial life hack that I think everybody should do. And it doesn't cost anything. It just takes a pen and a journal. If you like hard things like I do, I prefer something I can touch, I can feel, and I can hold. The applications are also good, but I prefer something I can hold and write. So you could write down anything. You could plan your day. You could write down your day's plan, what you intend to do. You could plan your week. You could plan your year. You could write your goals down, like how Dr. Jumi, always encourages us to short-term goals, long-term goals, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 goals. You could write them down and then arrange them in order of priority, such that as you're carrying them out, you're ticking them off your list. I don't know how to explain the satisfaction of ticking a goal off your list, like you've achieved that. It's really satisfying. So, and you can do that in your journal. So for me, journaling is a it's a it's it's a habit. It's a life habit that everybody should have, and it doesn't take much. It just takes a pen and a journal, and that's just it. So I'm happy I I practice it from time to time, and I would encourage everyone to do so as well. Thank you.
Amazing. Sorry, someone is keeping me on my toes here. Okay.
It's funny
So
that
thank you for
this is a baby,
sharing.
friendly network. As in everybody is
Yeah.
actually having taking care of a baby right now, which is such a
Yeah.
blessing. We are
Can you guys
bossing
see me clearly?
doctors.
I will see
Oh,
myself.
we can see
Very
you clearly. We can
okay.
see clearly. As in, so it's so normal, and I think it should be celebrated. As in, we take care of our babies, and we still show up as female doctors, and we practice habits that help us succeed, like journaling. Okay, Dr. Aaron, over to you.
Right. So for my own journaling experience, right? I think it started first with gratitude, with just being grateful for my journey so far, writing down what I was learning, and how that has made me more purposeful. So I think what I started with was being thankful for my immediate family, for example. I'm thankful for my mom, I'm thankful for my husband, I'm thankful for Dr. Jimmy, for example. I'm thankful for the lessons that I'm learning on my journey. I'm thankful for how that is transforming me into the person that I want to be. And months down the line, when I go back to read what I've read, what I'd written, say 5 months prior, I'll be like, oh my God, Aaron, you've experienced so much growth. And it just made me realize, the importance of journaling, of writing down what we're learning and what we are grateful for. It just reflects how much we've grown over time and helps us to be more grateful, such that you don't see the cup half empty but half full. I feel like that was what I started with in terms of journaling. Then fast forward to when I was pregnant, I always knew I was going to journal my pregnancy experience. Like, I just didn't know why, but I just knew that I was just not going to let it slide. And I'm so grateful that I kept up with that habit, with the habit of journaling during pregnancy. Because immediately I found out I was pregnant, the first thing I did was I just raised arms. I'm like, okay, I need a very posh pregnancy journal. Like, I want to document everything. Like, I would call my husband and be like, sit down, yeah, how did we find out? Right here. And then it was just interesting for me. And going through that experience of being pregnant, going through the roller coaster of emotions, one habit that I stuck to was journaling every week. Like, every week, I'll be like, okay, for this week of pregnancy, what did I learn? What went well? What didn't go well? Like, when I was failing my driving test, I'll put it there. Today, I failed my driving test. It is not funny, but so when I look back now, I just feel like the journal is a keepsake. It's going to be like a form of keepsake for myself and my baby, to show him and be like, oh, this was how your pregnancy went. This was how we felt. This were the people who visited. This was how we felt at this time. And for me, it's just keeping memories and learning from all of these memories, so that you don't forget. Like Dr. Rhoda said, the shortest pen is better than the longest of memories, because what's the guarantee that you remember, right? There's no guarantee. But at least when you have it written, it's very easy for you to go back to what's it called, to um, make reference to it. So that was it for me. But most importantly, journaling helped me to be more grateful, to be a lot grateful, a lot grateful. Even when things weren't going well, just writing how I felt about the experience and be like, this is what I learned. I think what I would say is that it also helped me reflect on terrible situations. Like, for example, there was when I had the needle prick at work. I think I told Dr. Jimmy, I wrote how I felt. I'm like, okay, maybe I should learn not to be overzealous, because I think that was one thing I took from it. And then just reflecting on circumstances and taking the lessons from those experiences that we have as we journey in life. That's been my experience with journaling so far.
Thank you so much. Personally, I believe that the kind of jobs we do, high stressful jobs, and the kind of environment we work in, where we are not allowed to process our emotions, we're not allowed to process our emotions and express our emotions. You need to literally are repressing your emotions. And so there's so much, that we keep inside, that we bottle up. As women, it's even harder because we are made of hormones that have emotional expressions. And so just think about it. You live a life whereby emotions cannot be expressed. You live a life where you cannot you don't have the opportunity and the time to process emotions. It's all like, shh, shh, shh. So you are in work with sick patients, dissatisfied patients, critical patients, pressure of work. You have sick kids at home. You have family situations. You have your own health challenges. All the pressure on you. And it's all stuck in a place. I feel so strongly that through journaling, you can open up and be lighter.
Yeah.
You're able to file your different emotions into different little cute, I would say, boxes that eventually later on you can now go and process or trash. Like there's some, especially you don't want to even process, you could just say, let me just trash this. And there are some that you really need to go back to and reflect on and say, oh, this is how I felt at this point in time. This is what I could have done better. And some you want to look back and say, oh, I've made progress. I've made I've actually made tremendous growth in this area. Um, One of the things we use for patients in psychotherapy is called cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. And in CBT, we kind of help patients identify their thought patterns and help them cognitively
Yeah.
process them into positive thought patterns. And one of the first things we say is that write how you feel, and then how can you reward it, or how can you what's the word? Not just rewarding, but I mean, how can you guys help me here? I don't know, I had this block here. How can you change your negative thought patterns
Yeah.
that are causing you distress? Because at the end of the day, it's how you think that
Mm-hmm.
influences the whole your whole perspective to life. Your thought pattern is so important. And so for us, we can adapt that and kind of, you know, put into our journals, oh, this is family. This is how I'm feeling right now regarding family. This is how I'm feeling right now regarding my job. This is how I'm feeling right now regarding my relationship, regarding my health. Of course, we do that a lot for our career journey as well. And I have a prayer journal where if I'm not able to go like have a prayer time, I just write the prayer points out there as in like a prayer journal. Dear God, dear God, dear God, and I put a date. And so it frees all the build up that I carry in my emotions, in my mind, in my soul. It frees them up. In fact, there are some thoughts that are so deep in my subconscious, I didn't even realize were in my subconscious. That when I write it, I'm like, oh, really? Was I actually thinking about this? And I'm able to actually process. Like when we have our check-in one-on-one sessions, one of the things I try to help you girls do is to have insights. We have like just talk and have a journal in front of you. And so as you're talking, you're just writing and just like, oh, really? I didn't even think that it was a possibility, or this was an easier way out, or these were the options I had. And so journaling is not just like dear diary, it was my day, woke up in the morning at 2 o'clock, get ready with me, agony ants, Journaling is so deeper. It's so deeper. And if therapists use journaling as a way of helping mental health disorders, you can imagine how we can adapt that into every area of our lives, not just for keepsake and memories, but also for a therapeutic opportunity to free up all the pressures that we build up inside of us. And so if you're a very dexterous person, ambitious person, crazy ideas always going through your mind, you're like, how am I going to even process all this? What do I do first? You can journal those thoughts. I tell many of the girls as well, I say, girls, have a journal. When those thoughts come as intrusions and you already have an active plan for your life, have a journal to do, later in the future. Just put them in. Because you never know when you really have time to go back and say, oh, this is the time to do this. And it frees the overwhelm of, oh, I have so much to do. In fact, when I feel like I have so much to do and I'm like, okay, let me journal, I'm like, it's just these three. But inside of me, I felt like I was going to collapse under a weight of responsibility. And it was just three things I had to do. And so I want to just round off this session by saying, if you are feeling an overwhelm right now, go get your journal. If you are feeling stressed, go get your journal. And journaling doesn't always have to be about just, writing memories or, as I said, agony ants or get ready with me. You can actually have a journal for the important areas of your life right now that are demanding so much from you. Like you said, you were going through a pregnancy journey, and that was an important, time for you to journal.
Yeah.
I journal my career journey. I make sure that because it's a very important area of my life, and so I journal it. And I don't just even like say it in stone. I say the things I intend to achieve, and I set my timelines. I teach you girls in the network. I also journal my personal development. Obviously, you know that I journal my prayers as well. And then in this, I feel like I'm having a very, very painful emotional experience. It's so heavy. I actually journal that painful experience. It's funny. It's the best way I just put it out of my heart. And it's like, okay. And then maybe like 3 years down the line, I'm like, oh, I actually had this emotional experience. Wow, I can't believe I actually had this experience. Now back to what Dr. Rhoda was saying, like if somebody sees it in the future and they read it, I feel like that is my experience and I can explain my experience. So if maybe I had an argument with my husband, and he sees my journal in 5 years. I said, "Oh, did you think this towards me?" That was 5 years ago, and that was my emotional experience in my private journal at that time, and I had processed the emotions to get to that point. That's what makes me. That's my essence. That was my response. That was how I felt, and so it's okay for me to validate how I feel without diminishing my emotional expressions, so that you will feel good in 20 years' time. You get, like, you need to prioritize how you feel and your emotions at that point in time. So I'm going to just stop here. I don't know if you guys have any questions or you want to add on, and then we can round off for
No,
today.
not really. Just to say that there's still a lot to talk about journaling. We could have another session, I think, where we delve deeper into what our experiences have been so far. But yeah, thank you, Dr. Jimmy, and thank you, Dr. Rhoda.
Okay, so ladies, let's meet up in the group and just put our reviews as we always do. And as you said, we'll probably have to schedule another time to talk about journaling later on. But have a good weekend. Bye,
All
everybody.
right. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.